And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the Tenacious Turtle Tussle. Week number 5. It's great to see everyone once again. This is your bi-weekly tournament for the North American, Latin American, Oceanic, Southeast Asian, and just rest of Asia region. I'm your host, Light VIP, and with me, I'm joined by my lovely and beautiful plushies and the chat as well. Hello, welcome, everyone. Good morning. Depending on where you are, it is 9 a.m. here in Australia, 9 a.m. But I'm ready for some StarCraft. I'm ready for my daily dose of beautiful, amazing PvP that I do need inside me. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the American Protoss player representing Root Gaming. It is Creature. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have as opponent, we have the Malaysian Protoss, the best player in all of Malaysia, representing Team Infected. It is Ranger. Oh boy, here we go. So I do apologize for the delayed start. I did explain, of course, in the Twitch chat that initially we were going to be casting a different series. Initially, we were going to be casting Miyamika versus Nice. Miyamika being the best player in Vietnam, and Nice being the best player in all of Taiwan. It would have been amazing, would have been beautiful. Unfortunately, Miyamika was here, but he did let us know that he pulled an all-nighter. I mentioned that it was 9 a.m. here in Australia, and I think it's like 7 a.m. in Vietnam, 7 or maybe even 6 a.m. And he made the wise choice of staying up all night and trying to pull an all-nighter to play in this tournament. Alas, by the time check-ins finished and by the time the tournament started, he was like, I can't. he could not stay up any longer, and I don't blame him. You know, take care of yourselves, everyone. You know, get plenty of rest, get plenty of just take care of yourselves in general. So alas, he did end up forfeiting. And that does kind of mean that things are, you know, a little bit more up in the air. Unfortunately, we do lose, oh my god, we do lose, you know, a valuable Zerg player that would have been a lot of fun to watch. But alas, he has bowed out and he will not be taking part in this. Instead, we have a PvP before us. Ranger going for a gate expand, a greedy economic opener here from our Protoss. Creature going for a one base all-in. Going full NA, Poppy. Let's go. So the reason why gate expands are so common on a map like Dragon Scales is because you have a ramp. Not all maps have this, but the maps that do allow Protoss players to be a little bit more greedy. They can be a little bit more economic focused, and as a result, Ranger will have less production to work with. Meanwhile, Creature is looking to punish this with an all-in. Now, Ranger, he did scout this really early on with his probe. He did chrono out his first Zelt. The pylon is about to be depowered. We have a second pylon on the way. The Stalkers are about to rock up as well. Creature, his goal here is to try to protect his proxy. He does have the higher DPS output. He is up on Stalkers compared to Ranger. The Zealot is going to be going down. One of Creature Stalkers is taking quite a heavy beating here, but he does micro backwards in the end. But he has to be very careful to keep that Stalker alive, as he will keep the proxy alive as well. So we have 3 gateways in total here for Creature, and we do have an Immortal being proxied as well. But he has to be very careful to preserve his gateway count. Now Ranger has the advantage. He has not just the Stalkers, but also the shields. But here we go. A third Stalker will join the mix. Good target firing out of Ranger. He did focus on the proxy probe and was able to shut that down. So now we can't really leapfrog forward with these shield batteries. We do have a Void Ray on the way. The Immortal has rocked up. The Void Ray is still a ways off. Oh, and that is a bit of an Artosis pylon. The overcharge will keep the pylon alive. It looks like the Immortal doesn't have the DPS to power on through. The boys are being pulled, and the Void Ray comes out. With the arrival of this Void Ray, Ranger is looking to defend. He's focusing down the Immortal. He will get it. The Immortal goes down. We have a Prism on the way. The Prism will allow for reinforcements. Not just that, but also micro. We basically have Blink with this Prism. We can't blink aggressively, but we can blink defensively, essentially, and we're going to be actually going into the main. I love this. We're going to be bypassing all of these defenses, the shield batteries, the Void Ray, the ramp as well, and we sneak into the main base. Creature has found another way in. And Ranger is completely out of position. There we go. The Stalkers do reveal themselves. Ranger very quickly trying to rotate up into his own main base. What does he have? 1 Void Ray, 2 Stalkers to work with. Every single boy has to be pulled. The Void Ray! Up! Oh, the Void Ray is going to be going down. 2 volleys is all it takes. We have a second Void Ray coming on in. But the Stalkers are being surrounded. The Void Ray is going to go down. And it looks like maybe Creature has too much. He is going for another warping of Stalkers. And it looks like once again he's being surrounded. But he does keep his Stalkers alive. Only 2 units left here for Ranger. He does have another Void Ray on the way. Ranger was doing so well initially defending. But, God, that rotation into the main really caught him with his pants down. He was just not expecting that whatsoever. He lost a lot of workers. He actually has a worse economy now than Creature. Creature has the better production. He has 3 gateways. He's looking to threaten the Shade into the natural base. At the same time, the Prism is going into the main. Not quite lined up too well here. The Adepts are being cleaned up, and the dive into the main base is a little bit late as a result, but we will actually get into the main. Zell will go down. Looking at the unit side, we have 8 Stalkers compared to the 2 of Ranger, and without shield batteries, without a defensive position in the main, yeah, we just can't engage. We cannot engage with this army. It's just a little bit too much. The Void Ray will survive, but we can't ever push outside of range of these shield batteries. We can't do it. But he has to try. The Ranger has to try, and he's losing even more Stalkers. Once again, the boy's being pulled. The Void Ray and just barely survives. Live, Papi, live. The Void Ray will live, and it looks like we're just giving up on the main base. I love this choice from Ranger. Again, like I was about to mention this earlier, that we can just give up the main base, go to the natural instead, where it's so more heavily fortified. But once again, we take a fight outside of range of the shield batteries. GG gets called, and Creature will take game number 1. Ooh. GG. Creature coming out swinging here in the first series of the day. And if you are more of an old school viewer in the chat, then you should be familiar. Should be a little bit familiar with Creature. He has been competing for a very long time in the North American region. He took a bit of a hiatus. He was more active back in like 2015, 2016 era of StarCraft, the early days of Legacy of the Void, and was on a hiatus. I want to say like 2020, 2019, 2021. Like he was not really too active at all, but he did come back to competitive play. I want to say last year. Around last year, Creature did come back, and it's really cool to see him once again after so long. Here in the twilight years of StarCraft, for Creature to be competing amongst the best of them, it is great to see his return to form. And seeing him here taking game 1 against Ranger is a pretty impressive feat. You know, Ranger has been improving quite a lot recently as well. And yeah, I was not expecting a proxy in game 1, I'll be honest. I was not expecting that at all, as I'm sure Ranger is feeling a little bit frazzled after that game. Again, the initial defense was really good from Ranger. We saw he was shutting down the probe, shutting down the Stalkers. Like, he had such a well-fortified position at his natural. Not his main, though. I do think that Creature did a great job at recognizing the weaknesses of the defensive position of Ranger, finding a way to bypass it, slipping into the main base, and I do think it took Ranger a little bit too long to just give up on the main and, you know, start mining instead from his natural and then try and rotate over. It was a difficult decision to make, but here we go. We are spawning into game number 2, and in the bottom right hand corner, we have on Gresswan, the American Protoss player representing Root Gaming. It is Creature. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Malaysian Protoss representing Team Infected. It is Ranger. Here we go. Now, we were talking a little bit about the openers last game, about how on Dragon Scales, because there's a ramp going up into the natural, gate expands are very common in PvP. Gresswan is not one of those maps. We can see here that the entrance to the natural, there is no ramp. It's large, it's wide open, it's massive. So we have 2 gate openers being set up from both players. So both players are going to be respecting the maps themselves. They're going to be going for a probe scout as well, as they do make sure that nothing crazy is going on. Meanwhile, oh, you love to see it. Shout out to the shout out to Shura and the amazing turtle that of course is waving at us. Good morning, good morning. And the probes with this, they're not just going to be confirming the gases, they're going to be counting pylons as well to make sure that there is no proxy pylon out on the map. They're also going to be confirming the initial units coming out from these two gateways. So even though we have a very similar opener, we can go into very different directions in PvP. With these two gateways, you can go double Stalker to be assertive and have a robust army at the start of the game. You can go double Adept, which has less firepower than double Stalker, but is more maneuverable and can slip into a mineral line and can do economic damage. We have Stalker Sentry, which is safer. Sentries provide a lot of scouting information with hallucinations. You can get across the map and see everything that your opponent is doing. And then you've got like Stalker Adept openers, which is like, you know, a middle of the road kind of opener. You know, you want a defensive position, but also you want to be scouting as well in a more aggressive manner. And we can see here, Creature is going for a double Stalker. So again, he's going to have a pretty solid start here. He's going to be able to assert himself on the map. Meanwhile, Ranger wants to bypass those Stalkers and get into a mineral line with double Adept. Oh boy, here we go. Now, this pylon here of Ranger does spot both of these Stalkers, so Ranger is fully aware of the first couple of units of his opponents. Meanwhile, the Adepts come out, and I believe Creature did leave before the first two units of Ranger did prop. So it looks like we have Creature a little bit in the dark. He's going to be chasing down this probe as it does run to the safety of the turtle. And the Adepts are going to bypass these Stalkers. They go around the long way to make sure that they don't run into them. And again, he's fully aware of the positioning of the Stalkers. Ranger sees that the Stalkers, they're being pulled here towards the north, and that creates an opening for the Adepts. Meanwhile, the second two units were Adepts here for Creature. Ooh, and it looks like the wall is a wall. The Adepts are denied entry into the main. Meanwhile, Creature wants to be aggressive himself. Likewise, we have both players going for their natural expansion, so no one is going for a one-base all-in this time. We do have a cancel. The Adepts do commit to the shade. They do get out of the main. And we are going into different tech paths. Ranger is going for a Stargate follow-up, which makes a lot of sense. This is very common off of Adept openers. You have Adepts to threaten the wall, keep the attention here at the ramp, and then the Oracle slips into the main base. So he's going to be testing the reaction time, the multitasking of Creature. Meanwhile, Creature is going to be going for a Twilight Council opener. Again, he's started off with double Stalker. He's going to be going for a more robust army, just committing to mass Stalker play. Oh, the Adepts do commit to the shade. The wall is a wall, and these Adepts are going to be going down. At least one of them will fall. These Stalkers are being kept busy here, and I'm sure Ranger wanted that shield battery to finish. It did not. The Oracle dives in and is going for a stasis trap. Oh god! Oh my god, that was so close. Stasis trap will be denied. At the same time, Adepts make it into the main base of Ranger. Shield battery finishes a second too late. 3 probes go down. Creature now has a pretty good economic advantage here against Ranger. The onus is on Ranger to deal damage with these Oracles, and so far he hasn't done anything. So far, the stasis trap was focused down just before it activated. We do have double Oracle, and they do have the DPS to out damage the healing potential of a shield battery, so they're going to be able to one-shot probes. But there's not that much energy on the first Oracle, so we do get 1, 2, we get maybe 3. Oh, we're out of energy. We get 2 probes in the end. Not ideal. We could have had more if we didn't try to stasis trap it initially. Ranger just didn't have enough energy on the first Oracle to keep on going. As across the map, Ranger is transitioning into a Robo and a Forge. So because Ranger didn't open up Twilight Council, he will straight up have worse Stalkers. He has a worse army. To make up for a worse army, he has to go for a Robo and start Immortal production. Immortals, they're a unit that can make up for a Stalker deficit, just because they're so tanky and they do so much damage to armored units. They do so much damage specifically to Stalkers. So Ranger's got to make up for his worse Stalkers in favor of Immortals instead. Otherwise, it would have taken too long to get into a Twilight Council and rush into Blink, for example, because he would just be behind. Meanwhile, the Oracles come back in, and Stalker's a little bit out of position. They do blink on forward, and it looks like 5, 6 probes go down. Oh, ooh, and no Oracles survive. A really good overall management of the situation by Creature for shutting down every single Oracle. That means his mineral lines are perfectly safe. He now takes an economic deficit. He's now down in workers, but he has a very fast third base, so he can make up for that. He does maintain his economic lead with that third, and Ranger is in a lot of trouble. With the hallucination, he does confirm this. He does scout at that third base. He sees the saturation. He knows how greedy Creature has been, but Ranger can't be active because he doesn't have Blink. Like, he doesn't have a mobile army, so he's stuck at home, stuck depending on 2 bases, but that immortal count is getting quite large. Shout out to the hallucinated Colossus. I don't think that was intentional, but you know what? We have the Colossus anyway in position to make sure there's no Blink into the main. Does have eyes in his main base, wants to make sure he doesn't get bamboozled again for a second game in a row. Meanwhile, this is going to be a bit of a slower third base, but slow and steady wins the race, just like the turtle, to be fair. So again, over time, this army of Rangers is going to get stronger and stronger. Again, these immortals do pack a massive punch, and it's something to bear in mind. Meanwhile, across the map, Ranger wants to try to make up for his worker disadvantage, and oh, did you see that? There's a group of probes that aren't working. They're pretending to work, but they're not. there's 3 probes chasing one. These probes shaking my head. Okay, get back to work. there we go. But here we go, Ranger. He's rotating around the southern side of the map. He's rocking up here with his Stalkers, with his 2 Immortals as well. He is down. No, he's even in the Stalker count, but he doesn't quite have Blink. Not yet. So he has to be very careful with how he maneuvers this army. Shield battery does go down, so there will not be an overcharge available. Not here, not at the third. Creature pushing on forward. He does go for the Blink. He does take down the Prism, denies the Warpin as well. That was a bold move though, because now these Immortals are going ham. The power of 2 Immortals. Every single Stalker is going to be going down. The Prism gets sniped as well. And Creature, even though he had the base lead, the worker lead, he just can't deal with these Immortals. It looks like he's going to be able to focus down one of them, but only one. Creature, he's up 20 workers. Creature, he's up so many pros, but it doesn't even matter. Ranger, his own third base was basically a fake. He went for a 2-base all-in, committed with his army. He knew, Ranger knew that he was on a timer. If the game went on any longer, then Creature would have gotten out of control. The boys are being pulled. That Immortal is being focused down. And even though Creature did lose 13 probes, even though he made a hard decision to pull the workers, he's still ahead economically. He still has that lead. He's still surviving. But without a shield battery here, like, he's having a really hard time at punching up against the Stalker count of Ranger. The reinforcements have arrived. You have an Archon joining the mix. Archons do tank quite a lot of shots here, but it will go down. Once again, the boys are being pulled. We have rebuilt that Prism. Ranger is he's so committed here. It's all or nothing for Ranger. He has to end the game here and now. He has to break Creature, and he goes for another Blink. He does reset the army. Boys being pulled, but a little bit too late at this point. And it looks like Ranger is going to be fighting back in this series. We have a defensive Immortal coming out, but again, there are no shield batteries at the natural either. The force fields. The Immortal is trapped. GG gets called, and Ranger will tie it up 1-1. GG. Very well played by Ranger, recognizing the situation, recognizing how behind he was, and committing to the all-in. And not just committing. Initially, if you remember, he did go for a hallucinated scout, and he did notice the shield battery was exposed. He was like, hey, that shield battery, it's a little bit further to the edge, especially towards the south. If I come in from this angle, I can focus down the shield battery, and we all know how powerful and how potent the shield battery overcharge is defensively. Like, it can, nothing dies. it's so good, Papi. It's so good. Without it, Creature just was not able to hold on to his base. I do believe that if he had his shield battery tucked away a little bit safer, or if he was just able to keep it alive and he did have an overcharge, we would have seen a very different game. I do think that Creature would have had a much easier time holding onto his third base. But alas, 'tis not meant to be. Alas, we are going to be getting into the ace match between these 2 lovely players. Let's go, Bobby. Let's go. We're going all the way to game number 3. Here we go. It all ends here. One way or another, this will be the final game. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the American Protoss player representing Root Gaming. Oh, in a tied-up series here in the ace match, it is Creature. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have as opponent, we have the best player in all of Malaysia representing Team Infected. It is Ranger. Oh. It's a pretty intense game too. I mean, all the games have been intense, to be fair. And oh my god, Ranger is asking for it. I was talking earlier, this is a pretty big thing here in PvP, about how advantageous ramps are in PvP, and that is what facilitates a gate expand. Now here we have Ranger on Ancient Cistern going for a gate expand. No ramp. No ramp at the natural. He is he's goading Creature. Hey, come at me, bro. Come at me. One base all in me again. I dare you. Creature is going for the much more sensible opener on Ancient Cistern. He's going for a double gate opener, as to be expected, and he's going for a probe scout across the map. With this probe scout, he should be getting eyes on the opener of Ranger, and I imagine Creature is going to be looking to punish it. And as I say, he's going to be probe scouting. No, he's going to be proxy just underneath that turret. I wonder if they're familiar with each other. Both Ranger and Creature are both quite active on the NA ladder, and I wonder if they're if they are familiar with each other's play styles here. Ranger does confirm the double gate opener. Ranger is getting away so far with a gate expand, with a much faster nexus, but Creature, he's got other things in store for him as he's getting ready for said proxy location. Ranger is catting pylons. He sees a pylon is missing and he's looking. He's looking for where the proxy pylon is. Where could it be? He's checking the third base location, which is the typical proxy location. Creature's proxy is further out though, and it's going to be another proxy robo. And Creature will confirm, you greedy boy. He will confirm the low ground wall. Ranger is still desperately looking for the proxy, and it looks like he will come across it, but this is much later than game number 1. If you remember, Ranger, he scouted this very early on. As a result, this Zealot was able to chip away at this pylon and even kill the pylon, which kind of made things really difficult here for Creature. Creature, he goes for an in-base pylon. Ranger, his attention is across the map, but his attention should be at home. Not like this, papi. Not like this. The probe has been dealt with. The Zealot is looking to wreak havoc upon this pylon. The Adepts move out a little bit prematurely. Ooh, this pylon is in danger. The Adepts, they turn back. A little bit indecisiveness there from Creature, whether he should turn around or not. He's going to try and keep this alive. We have 4 Adepts joining in, but this pylon is going to go down. Oof. Thankfully, we have a prism. Thankfully, this is not going to be... Oh my god, it's a 4-gate. It's a 4-gate all-in. 3 gateways at home, 1 gateway in the main. Oh no! Oh, Ranger, he throws out a pylon, but he doesn't see. He doesn't know, papi. He doesn't know. Oh my god. I love this. The prism, it repowers the robo, and Immortal is on the way. The Adepts have it rocked up across the map. The wall is a wall. A Void Ray comes out. But we're warping straight into the main. Not like this, papi, not like this. The Immortal has arrived. The Void Ray is pushing away these Adepts, but the Stalkers reveal themselves. Now, this pylon is giving Ranger a lot of time, and he pulls the boys immediately. The Void Ray is rocking up into the main base. Can it deal with this? How good is the micro? How good is the stutter stepping here from Creature? He can't get surrounded. Speaking of the Citizen's Arrest, one of these Stalkers is going to be going down. Looks like there are 2 pylons in the main base, but this is maybe a bit of an overcommitment here from a Creature. He's going to be losing all of his Stalkers. And here, he's losing his Adepts as well. He's trying to focus on that pylon, but oh god. Not the best target firing out of Creature. He does, oh my god, he does barely depower that pylon. But Creature is being cleaned up. Wait, what? Okay, wait. What? What happened to the Immortal? The Immortal didn't die. I guess we didn't finish the Immortal period. Okay, so we're just, committed to mass gateway units instead. Stalkers and Adepts have arrived once again at the, but at this point, I don't know if we can really deal with this. We have an overcharge. We have the shield battery. Oh! The Void Ray does almost go down. Is going to be able to focus that Prism. Creature has to rotate around, bearing in mind that one of his gateways is now gone. He's only got 3 gates working right now. And Creature is going to try and power through this. He's going to be able to get one of these Void Rays. Good micro out of these Stalkers, but one of them will still go down. Oh, an Adept as well. Creature is being forced back. And it looks like Ranger has held. I am a little bit concerned with how far out Ranger is chasing this. I do think that this is a bold move, Poppy, but yo, he gets a Stalker in the end. Oh my god. With the reinforcing Stalkers, it feels like Ranger has overextended. The Void Rays, they need to get the hell out of here. They are oh so low. A couple more shots and they will go down. As they do retreat back to the natural, we have an overcharge available. We have 3 Void Rays. Creature is still in this. He is up to 10 Stalkers. He is committed. He is all in. Even though there was so much more potential with the initial proxy, especially with the in-base proxy, it has been dealt with for the most part. Ranger just has to hold on to his natural. Oof. Oh no! It does activate the prismatic alignment. Is going to be chasing these Stalkers back. Overcharge was popped, and looks like Creature wants to maybe try and rotate in the main. No, he fakes it out! Ranger's out of position. He does expose his own natural. Sentry goes down for free. Every unit does count. Oh my god. As a gateway will fall. There we go. We get one of the Void Rays for Stalker. Oh my god. We have 3 Stalkers, 3 Void Rays remaining. We do see the Stargate is under threat. The Stargate will go down. Our production capabilities here for Ranger is not looking too good. He did throw down a defensive Robo in the main. He does have an Immortal on the way. And I think with the arrival of this Immortal, I think we defend. I think Ranger still has the advantage overall. He's going to be losing the Cyber Core. He'll be losing another one of these Void Rays. He's committing into this. He's going to get a second Void Ray, but the Immortal reveals itself. Oof. And that 10 Stalker count has gone down to 9. Creature has to back off, give his opponent some breathing room. The wall is no longer a wall. I appreciate this. He does warp in a couple of Adepts. He can shade past the army and into a mineral line. Oh no! No, but the Adepts, they run forward as well. Only one Adept will make it in. And one Adept isn't really too much to be concerned about. Creature is transitioning. He throws down a Nexus. Well, this is a rough transition out of Creature. He recognizes that he cannot end the game. He cannot break Ranger. And Ranger, now he's got Immortals, he's got Void Rays. He's looking to shut down the proxy. It was a good effort, a valiant effort out of Creature. I definitely do appreciate it. But the Prism! The Prism does end up being caught out by these Stalkers, is going to get hunted down. And back at home, we're just trying to muster up a defense. This is gonna be a rough hold for Creature. He has a shield battery on the way. He will have an overcharge, but against 2 Immortals, against a Void Ray, all these Stalkers. Oh boy, here we go. The Prism does overextend. We could try to focus it down. Instead, we go for the army, and oh, the force fields are just too good. There is no blink. Creature bleeds out 2 Stalkers. He's gonna dive on top of the Void Ray. But he's losing far too much. I appreciate how complex the cheese was this game. We had a proxy gateway in the main base. We had the proxy robo as well. There was a lot going on. I appreciate it here from Creature, but alas, GG gets called. It is not enough, and Ranger will take the series 2-1. GG, well played. There was so much potential. I'll be honest, I kind of wish I kind of wish Creature didn't warp in Stalkers into the main base of Ranger. I wish it was Adepts instead. If it was Adepts instead of Stalkers, he would have just killed so many probes. He would have just, oh my god, he would have eviscerated that mineral line. Stalkers, obviously, they have more firepower, like as in like they can go toe to toe with the Stalkers, with the defensive Stalkers of Ranger, and they can focus down Void Race as well. So in a head-to-head fight, Stalkers are better units, but considering it was a proxy in the main base of Ranger and you have like such a clear path into the mineral line, I do think that Adepts maybe would have been a better choice. And I do think that if Ranger's economy was a little bit crippled, then we would have had a bit of a different outcome. Potentially. It's hard to say, of course, as there was a lot going on and there was a lot of chaos happening as well. Regardless, GG, well played, a great series from our two lovely players, and congratulations to Ranger as he does advance on in the tournament. My condolences to Creature, but this tournament is double elimination. He does have a second life, he does have a second chance in the lower bracket.